that's extremely, extremely dear to my heart and dear to all the hearts of people who are holding this course. It's really like our child of love, our baby of love. And yeah, I mean, I have a formal PPT and I'll run you through the formal PPT. Pretty much everything is also on the website, but I still felt that maybe talking about it really helps to kind of absorb what's there already on the website. So Svadhyaya, why is it such a special course? Because for many of us, the vision and works and words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo have been truly transformative. Reading their words is not just about reading, it's really the conscious force which is behind those words really slowly begins to penetrate into you. And in the journeys of the facilitators who are holding this course, reading the works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo has played an extremely critical role. And often we see that, reading is purely a mental chore, it's a mental task, But really, when it comes to Mother and Sri Aurobindo has himself spoken about it, that it's a sadhana unto itself. And Mother and Sri Aurobindo have also spoken about that really reading the works of Sri Aurobindo helps you develop literally new brain cells. And to give you an example, this morning we had a very lovely Savitri painting presentation. And the very first time that I opened Savitri, and I opened with like a lot of, I almost felt like I found the purpose of my life when I opened the book. Somebody had recommended to me, you must read Savitri, you're a poet. And I opened the book and I was like, I can't understand the first line. I said, second line, I can't understand. I read an entire page, I couldn't understand. And then I was doubting, either Sri Aurobindo is trying to fool around or I'm really dumb. And then I was like, yeah, maybe I'm not ready for it. So I made peace with that. And I understood that something in me needs to open for me to be able to receive Savitri. And then what happens after four months of diving deep into the works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, I ended up reading the Life Divine book, which is one of the major books of Sri Aurobindo, in one go in a matter of 10 days. Literally, it was really an experience more than, when I say read, it just doesn't do justice to what actually happened and what really took place. So to understand that here, when we are talking about reading the works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, it's not just reading, it's a transformative experience. And what we've created is, over a period of time with all the other facilitators, we figured out a way that this reading can be made simpler, easier, and really like a process that even a lay person can enter into it. So that's what the decoding of Svadhyaya in many ways has been. Svadhyaya means the study of self, and that word itself actually encapsulates the two fundamental aims of the course. So on one hand, the course is about a lot of self-study, and that self-study is also not just, you have to do it by yourself, but the space will be collectively very, very tightly and lovingly be held for you in order for you to navigate your way through that self-study process. And the other is the study of self, which is self-knowledge, to be able to discover oneself, to be able to know oneself. And these are the two main aims of Svadhyaya. First, if you are really, if you're someone who's interested in the principles of integral yoga psychology, if you're someone, who've known Mother and Sri Aurobindo and really want to read their works, but have been finding it difficult to navigate through, then it is certainly for you if you really want to bathe in the works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And if you want to know yourself, if you're really having that fire to discover who you truly, truly are, and in that process, really you burn and transform, this course is for you. So with that, I'll begin like sharing a small PPT. Just give me a moment. Where did it go? 1 second. Sorry for the little technical hiccup. Somewhat I had opened it, but it got closed. Anyway, moving ahead. So Svadhyaya, like I explained, the study of self. And actually this name itself took birth after we had already had 2 cohorts. Earlier we were calling it integral knowledge. And then slowly, it really dawned onto us that on one hand, it is a deep dive into the works, into the integral knowledge in light of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. But also on the other hand, it's a deep dive into knowing oneself. So that's where the word Svadhyaya really came in, where we felt it really encapsulated the study of self as well as the self-study component of the course. Now, this is what the website begins with saying: whether you're interested in discovering and mastering yourself, learn about integral psychology, or wanting to dive deep into a topic of your interest from the works of the Mother in Sri Aurobindo, we invite you to follow the call. Here, I'd like to pay attention to 2 things. One is there's been a guidance by the Mother where she says that the right way, the right approach through which you must read the works of Mother in Sri Aurobindo is not book by book, it's topic by topic. What this means is, if at this stage of life you're really attracted to evolution, then you must read everything that Sri Aurobindo has said on evolution. And that is when you discover that Sri Aurobindo has said almost all kinds of contradictory things. And yet each thing has its right place. It's only by reading everything that Mother and Sri Aurobindo have said on a particular topic that you really get a bird's eye view, that you really begin to synthesize contradictory things within yourself, that you really reach an understanding from the beyonds. So that is the guidance that we've taken, and which is why the project work as a part of Svadhyaya involves you to take up a topic that's really alive for you, that's really burning for you. So it's not a topic that we would allocate, it's really a topic which is alive at this stage of your life. And then you really brew into that topic. You really go deep into that topic, and you really get a very comprehensive understanding of that topic. And you get a sense of how do contradictories, how do apparent contradictories come together into a larger whole, not just mentally, but through a lived dimension. So that's the first thing. The second is to bring a little bit of your attention to, why Mother and Sri Aurobindo? Only because, the facilitators of the course really love them, or is there something more to the story? Why Sri Aurobindo? What's the contribution that, they've made? So in my humble understanding, Sri Aurobindo, as far as I know or I'm aware of, is one of the only seers and sage and a psychologist who's been able to synthesize the essence of the West and the essence of the East, as well as who's been able to synthesize the different spiritual schools of thought that have been there in the spiritual history of India. And that synthesis has been in a manner that it just doesn't address the present needs, but it takes a leap into a radical future. So that's really the core speciality that I find about Mother in Sri Aurobindo as a window to really enter. So on one hand, they have done an extremely rigorous synthesis of the different ascents in spirituality, and at the same time, integral yoga is not just one in the series of progression in the spiritual history, but a leap into the future, a evolutionary, transformational, radical leap into the future. So with that, I'm going to be playing a short video now. I think some of you might have already seen it on the website about Svadhyaya. Yes.
Svadhyaya is an 8-week long online learning journey to explore integral knowledge of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother.
It has 4 key aspects. The first aspect is really immersion in the works and the wisdom of Mother in Sri Aurobindo. The second is the aspect of Sangha. So even though the course happens online, it really happens in an intensive, rigorous way where a group of people really come together for sadhana. The third aspect is that of self-study. So the program involves undertaking a project on one aspect which really is alive in one's life, which really what one wants to cultivate in one's life. And you do a rigorous study on that topic while at the same time having practices grounding that so as to really make that an integral part of life. The fourth aspect of Svadhyaya is the aspect of self-work and self-growth.
Imagine there is this amazing Himalayas out there, and it's a great experience to have a glimpse of that peak. So I see my role as like helping a group of seekers to take them through a journey to get a sense of the peak, that glory of what is there. And it is their presence, what they embody, what they represent, what comes through their teachings, that makes a difference. We are like facilitators taking the group.
That was the first time in my life consciously that I have felt the divine grace or the flow of life, and all our sharing circles were so powerful, and so much of learning, know-how, experiential. So it's a very beautiful journey, and I really thank Svadhyaya that has happened in my life to understand that life is so beautiful.
It's not necessary to know exactly what you're seeking. If you can sense that there is something in you thirsting for something deeper, and if you have that sense, that is good, that's enough. You will find the way.
It is really a beginning of a lifelong journey. If you really have burning questions in your heart, and if you really feel resonating with what we have to offer, take a leap of faith and come along.
I've already shared why the works of Mother in Sri Aurobindo. So one aspect is reading the works of Mother in Sri Aurobindo, The other is the question of discovering who am I, as we are going to later on see in the schedule also. One significant component of the journey would be to unveil layer by layer the different parts of being that we carry within ourselves, the mind at its different parts, the emotions, the energies, the senses, the body, the inconscient, subconscious, superconscient. So the different parts that constitute who am I, and amidst all of that, who am I at my very core? What is my true individuality? So that education of the different parts of being in a way that you understand, you reflect, and you begin to see and observe, and slowly, even begin to integrate and embody. So that's the other element of the course. Then, like I've spoken, project work is a very central aspect of the Svadhyaya journey. As a part of the project work, and the reason why project work is an extremely central part of the journey, it's really what brings in the aspect of Karma Yoga. Because the project is also not really like a theoretical or an academic project, it's a living project that feeds into the integral education portal. So it's not just a project, that's limited to an academic mulling over a subject, but really that is applied in life. So it's a real life project. And it's because of the project dimension that brings in that entire aspect of Karma Yoga, which brings it at a very higher level of integration and the capacity to manifest one's thought into action. The second aspect is you choose a topic that is burning for you, that is alive for you. The third is you learn how to synthesize. And this synthesis is not just a mental synthesis. And because, behind the words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, there is a force. And at least one level, it has to be synthesized inside of you. Only then you will be able to synthesize in your project. I'll give you an example. We had a very sweet student who took up the topic food. Now, food is something very simple, relatively very simple, not like consciousness, equanimity. It's very simple, right? And he was himself like a hardcore vegetarian. And Mother and Sri Aurobindo have also spoken about, say, meat at a certain place. They've also spoken about fish and eggs at a certain place. Everything has a context. And they've also spoken about very strictly about vegetarian and eating vegetarian food. And very unconsciously, he skipped over all the quotations that didn't agree with his worldview. And that's what usually tends to happen. We look at statements, we look at, their works in a way that they can confirm how we look at the world. And the growth really happens when we push ourselves out there to really sense that, all that they have to offer and to find a place. Another example is when I was reading the works of Mother, the first time I read one of the statements by the Mother where she said, all suffering comes from the ego. It really hurt my ego. And I said, everything that they're saying is okay. This one, no. There must be some suffering that is legit. That is not coming from the ego. And it took me a long period of inner processing to truly see that, this statement that all suffering comes from the ego is a statement coming out of pure love. And I could really see it and accept it in myself. So this process of synthesis isn't just like a mental synthesis, it's like a very, very living synthesis. And because it is, a living, a real life project, it's about an offering. And we've really seen that our sadhana, our process of self knowledge and self development is 100x accelerated when there is an aspect of offering, when there is an aspect of service, when there's an aspect of self giving. So that's why the project work. Now, project work, actually, you don't need to understand this slide in detail, but it's just for you to be aware of that the project work, as a part of the project work, we would be giving you auto compilations with all paragraphs that have your chosen topic from the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. And then week by week, there will be a task of the week. So like the third week, the task would be to go through the auto compilation and select relevant passages. Then the fourth week, the task would be to distill the selected passages, pick out only the relevant lines from those passages, thereafter to organize, and thereafter to summarize. And then that forms the basis of the integral education portal. Now, structure, a bit about how structure would look like. This is how the timings will look like. The timetable is available, by the way, on the website. It's a downloadable Word file, which is there on the website. But this is one thing that, we really, really would like that, because it's a highly selective cohort. So we take around 15 to 20 seekers. And usually, if we're taking, say, 15 to 20 people out of a group of 50 applicants, we've had to say, no matter how tough it is, to say no to 30 people. And the bare minimum respect that we can give to that seat, that one is receiving, is to attend all the sessions. So that's really an expectation from the course that, these are the timings, and it's really, really expected that, unless, there's one-off an emergency, that you really attend all the sessions, that you really give your 100%. So that's why it's important to kind of go through the session, so the timetable. One little thing I'd like to mention, everything that is in cursive, that is in italics, those are not sessions. Those are essentially individual guidance, one-on-one, where you can schedule a one-on-one with us. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Those are not sessions. Those are more slots which are booked in our calendar, so that you can schedule a one-on-one with the facilitators as and when you wish to. And apart from that, the timings are here for you to kind of take a good look at and know that what you're kind of getting into. Yes, and lastly, it's really, really a first step. Now, how is it a first step? I'd like to speak a little bit about it before handing it over to Palak. So we have actually Palak here. Yes, we have Palak here from the second Svadhyaya cohort. And I'd just like to share that both the Svadhyaya cohorts have been super, super active after their formal Svadhyaya journey. So it's not like, it's a course that you do and it's a nice thing you did, you had a great experience. But for many, many people, it's something that they're still carrying it forward. So after Svadhyaya 1, we've had a group of 5 members who've just yesterday evening concluded their 7th self-organized course. So after the journey ended, they designed their own learning journey, and we supported them in that process of designing their own learning journey. They had their first learning journey on sincerity, then they had it on humility, gratitude, perseverance, aspiration, receptivity, and now progress. So they just ended their seventh self-organized learning journey. And yeah, we've been supporting them, but more from the background. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that um, yeah, for us, it's like, taking people into our family. And it's a beginning of a lifelong journey. And it's an initiation into a lifelong journey. It's not to say that after the course gets over, you will be forced into any of these things. Hopefully, you'll fall in love as much as we have. And thereafter, we are really, really happy to support you into custom designing your own collective learning journeys. And actually, to take a step forward after Svadhyaya too. So these guys have also been, curating their own custom collective learning journeys. They had sincerity, and now they're having humility, and they're not just now doing it for themselves. The cohort has opened it up for, I think some of you are a part of the humility WhatsApp group. So they've really offered it, they've really opened it up for others as well. So not just that, they're themselves benefiting, but really also holding space for others. So yeah, all in all, the works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo has been the turning point in my life, in the lives of all the facilitators who would be holding space for you. And it's really, I feel like a gold mine unknown to the world. And it's really like a gold mine. And yeah, it's a great privilege and an opportunity to hold space for that gold mine to transform as many seekers, as many people who are having that fire, that inner fire, to go deep within themselves, to know themselves, people who are feeling the things the way they're happening in the world right now are not okay. That's not, it doesn't, it's not making sense. If that's not making sense to you, you're at the right place, because there is in the depths of life a magic, and that magic is here for Svadhyaya to unveil for you. With that, I'll now invite Palak from the second cohort. I can't even believe, she's from the second cohort. It feels like I know her forever. And yeah, so she did Svadhyaya too with us. And yeah, she's really been blooming. So over to you, Palak, to share your experience of Svadhyaya and your journey thereafter.
Thank you so much, Divyanshi, for introducing so beautifully. So I'll begin with how I actually came to Swadhyaya. Like I'd been reading words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo because like my family is such that since my grandfather's time I've been seeing pictures in my house, and there has always been like one or two quotes in every room. Like every room there are posters, and then there is one quote here, one quote there. And we used to go to Pondicherry, so all of that used to happen, but there was no like active active reading or active understanding. It's just that they are there, and there was some kind of a relationship which I didn't know what it was, and that kind of went on. It is very late, like probably when I was in college, that I actually started mentally reading, that I wanted to read and I wanted to know, because as a child I used to read those small booklets called Agni Shikha and Purodha that used to come in English as well as Hindi. They were like 10 to 12 pages books that ashram used to send every month, and they had like question and answers, that like questions that sadhaks used to ask Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and they used to answer. So as a very small child I used to come back from school, and there was no TV like there was TV, but there was no cable at my home, so that was like a comic book for me, and I used to enjoy reading that what people are asking. And that is what used to happen. But that is all, like nothing else. Like I did not do anything else apart from that in the early years. Then when I was in college, I was in Bhopal, and the Sri Aurobindo Society Center, it was very near, and um, whenever like there was some disturbance, probably my family also didn't know like what was going on because I was in Bhopal and everything. So I just used to go there and sit there for some time, and when things were kind of okay, I used to come back. So that is when I felt um probably like that process kind of started for me again. And it was in college that I also started reading like a couple of books. Like I started with essays on Gita, but it was very difficult for me because I used to start and then it used to break, and then things used to come up. So that is what kind of went on. And then like all I was able to do was in that time was there were small booklets, like Mother has written on sleep, like in Science of Living. So some small booklet on that. That is how it was happening. um and then I used to continuously listen to every day morning, like 2 hours in the background. No matter what I was doing, there were Alok Das talks that used to go on. And when I came back to my house, same thing used to happen here after my college ended. So that is what used to happen. And then I used to constantly email Alok that okay, so I'm now reading, I'm listening to your talks, but how do I implement it in my life? Okay, I don't understand. Like, ठीक है, I understand this quote, but it's like a mental understanding that this is what Mother is trying to say, this is what Sharvinda is saying. But one very basic question that I had was that what is my sadhana in this? I'm reading, but like, am I doing sadhana by reading? So I didn't know, I was not able to find that answer. And then like I saw Svadhyaya one notification. I think it was on Divyanshi's Facebook that time. Like we didn't like formally know each other. I knew her because of attending like or a youth camp. So we were Facebook friends earlier, but we did not know each other. And I really wanted to attend Swadhyaya one because it had like one very specific line mentioned on the website that how you can practically apply integral knowledge in life. And that was something I was like, oh, this is what I want and I really want to join. But unfortunately it didn't work out because I like exactly the time that the course was supposed to happen, it used to be my office travel, like commute time. And then this like 2020 was the year when Corona happened, and I'm so sorry for being very happy, but actually for me like it has been nothing short of a blessing truly, because it is only because of this time that my commute completely stopped and I was able to enroll for this like. And that was like very frankly that was my main motivation to join Swadhyaya, that I really wanted to know that after reading what next, like what is it that how can I apply it in my life. And that is how I started. The topic that chose me during the course was divine love. And I still remember when, like, my first conversation with Divyanshi and Manoj before the course started, I went to them with like 5 topics that these are the 5 topics that I think I really want to do, but I don't know which one to. And like th- that was probably the first time I was talking to them, and they just said that we don't feel the other 4 topics, like we can't relate it to you, and it is this topic. And I felt happy at like I did not have like not even for one single moment I was like, no, they are not right, or they don't even know me, so how can they? It was like, yeah, this is actually correct, and my heart was very happy. And then the course started. um I And about the course itself, I just felt that I was on this like very super fast accelerator. It felt like for 27 years my life was like slowly going on a say in a very like nice way. It was slow and everything, but I just felt that what I really wanted to do, and something that my heart always wanted to do in terms of being able to practice knowing more, and knowing not just from my mind but from my heart. I think that just somehow like it was such an accelerated path. And it was not accelerated because I was doing something, frankly, like trust me, I was literally doing nothing during all of these 8 weeks. uh, but I think with the presence of the group, with the presence of facilitators, every single day there were small things that Divyansh and Manoj used to tell us that, this is something that you should do, not in terms of advice, but just a little nudge to make sure that, you are taking that one little step every day. And then we had this 21-day challenge, and then we had to read something every single day. So it was like in one day, even like five minutes ka things just pushed all of us to take that one step. So had it not been for this, probably I would again take like maybe 10 years or 20 years or 30 years maybe to take those many one steps, or maybe that one step that I was taking every day, it would be like one step over 1 week or over 1 month. But I felt that because of this course, I was really taking that one step every single day. And the kind like especially like Divyanshu in the beginning was explaining different parts of our being, and the way I can really observe how many parts within me were transformed and are transforming because of this course. And at times when I reflect back what I was before April 2020 and what I am now, I like I just at times kind of smile and laugh at myself that, there were so many little things that used to bother me. And not that they don't bother me now, like, but it's just that if there were 100 things that had the potential to really disturb me and throw me off, now those like 100 things have really reduced down to, let's say, 50, or have reduced down to 40, because I'm able to look at things from a different lens. And like there is a little bit of a more um lack of retaliation, or lack of questioning everything. And there is definitely increased faith and increased just surrender. Like I still need to be in control of things, and I need to know everything beforehand. But even if things are not going right, I think one of the greatest blessings for me was that uh, just just having that faith and having that just being able to offer everything. I think that was the best gift, and something that, really changed the perspective of everything for me. So I was sharing as part of one of the final Svadhyaya sharing circles also, that people in my college and in my school and in my office used to call me that, this is she's like 5 rupees ki aasu wali girl, ki isko kuch bhi bol do, she'll cry and this and that. And if like somebody's, if let's say my father is telling something to my brother, and like if he's being scolded, I have the tendency to start crying, because I'll take it on myself that no, he's telling me, and that is what happens. But this is not like just to say ki, I'm very sensitive or anything, not like that, but it's just that I used to take things directly to heart, and just respond and just react to it immediately. And the kind of shift that I've seen in the last 1.5 years, probably it is very difficult for me to even till now accept and believe that, there are so many little steps ahead that I've been able to proceed just by like one, being in presence of this group, taking this journey, and being able to know the importance of, each and every single element, each and every single step that we kind of underwent in throughout these 8 weeks. And like Divyanshi mentioned, the journey did not end there. Like even now, after Swadhyaya ended, we took this journey of 4 aspects of mother. Then we did sincerity. Now we are doing humility. We are going like very slow, but I think the way every single journey is kind of birthing, every single thing is kind of moving, I always feel like I no more have that feeling of stagnancy. I just feel that even though like it's a small step, but I'm in that state of motion. So yeah, I think, and it's like I can't thank the facilitators enough. Divyanshi is here, Manoj is not here, but I think, like she was saying, they just take you in their family. Like I don't think that I've not known them. Like वैसे तो we like officially we've met like since 1.5 year or so. But I it just feels like I've known them forever and they are family. And there are times I'm not able to talk at home, but like I know that there is a community here that will understand, and that is just there. Like whenever like I'm stuck or I feel stagnated, this is the place where I feel home. So yeah, uh, that's what Svadhyaya really means to me. Thank you so much, Divyanshi.
Kamini, would you like to share something?
Uh, yes, good evening, everyone. Um, so I was part of Svadhyaya 1 in 2019, and I had volunteered at Auroville before that in 2017. And I mean, being very honest, I did not feel uh, any sort of connection to Mother and Sri Aurobindo before Svadhyaya, but there was something that some sort of a seeking, or the seed that was planted during my volunteering experience, and that seed kept growing, and there was a barrier, that a mental barrier with respect to reading Mother and Sri Aurobindo's works. And I remember when I was at Auroville, I had picked up not Savitri, I had picked up a Life Divine, and I had opened it, and I thought, okay, this is not happening in this life. So, um, so when I had met Manoj only once, and I saw a post about Svadhyaya on his Facebook page, and that's how I applied. And a few things that I'd like to share about my experience is that it is an adventure that you take, an inner adventure, um, and you take it with the same spirit that you go on a hike, where or you're going on a night trek, and you don't know what you have to expect, but you're excited because it's an adventure. So I think the fact that there's so much we don't know about ourselves, and I think that's why um, this course is very interesting. Um, there is so much we don't know, and how, I mean, the best way, I mean, that I at least feel is through the works of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And when you go deeper into a specific topic that you will be asked to choose, I think the beauty in that is that when you focus and you concentrate on one single thing, it's not just that you get to know only how that topic sort of moves within you, but you get to know so much more about yourself, especially because, you know, as part of the course, there are sharing circles every week, and each person has their own topic, and each person shares their learnings on their topics. So that sort of enriches your journey, because even today I remember things that um, a girl who took up inner attitude, like even today I think about um, that topic, because I feel like it's so important in a very general context, um, what kind of inner attitude you have towards any situation. Or, for example, there was somebody who chose purpose. Um, so I think that even a few sharings by different people on their own topics sort of widens your idea about that topic. And specifically, I would say that because of the way that we are educated, that our definitions are always restricted to what we've learned from what and how a word is defined in a dictionary. And then you think that that is all there is to that word. But then when you come and you start reading Mother and Sri Aurobindo, I feel like that's the first thing that sort of breaks. You begin to know that the word that you carried along with you that held a certain meaning, there's so much more to that word. So it could be um, the word could be anger, or the word could be love, but at least what I experienced is that my understanding was very limited. So I feel that the compilation work that is part of your that is part of this course, the certain rigor in which you're reading the works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo and you're making your compilation. Um, just staying true to that process that the facilitators will guide you through, Divyansh and Manoj will guide you. Just staying with that process and and doing it sincerely, unconsciously. It should be done consciously, but even unconsciously, there is so much that starts happening, and you start seeing that sort of shift within you. Um, I mean, I've not seen it happen with anything else. And I remember something that somebody said on integral yoga, that it's not a yoga of information, it's a yoga of transformation, because sometimes you can get caught in knowing everything, but there's no change happening. So there is that very specific emphasis that is given in this course. Like you are, you do become conscious that it's not only a mental knowing, because you can sit and you can maybe know everything that Mother and Sri Aurobindo said, but nothing changes in you. So that is also like a very important emphasis, and you will definitely see like certain shifts in you that I saw in myself. And um, yeah, I wanted to then, and I also noted that there are movies that we would watch on couple of weeks, movies by Manoj, which were very interesting on different parts of the being, like Palak was sharing. And so, yeah, these memories are still very, very vivid. And yeah, and the last thing I'll share is that any question, what I've seen is that any question that you have, you put it out there, and the facilitators will give more than you expect. So, yeah, I think it's a beautiful journey towards knowing a lot more than you already know about yourself. Yeah. So, yeah, over to you, Divyansh.
I felt like even though the three of us didn't plan what we are going to be sharing, it just complemented so well. Because Palak brought in the aspect of practice, and somewhat I did not stress on that. And Kamini brought in the thing about sharing and collective, and I realized, you did not stress on that. And yeah, we really complemented each other well. So thank you. Any questions for those of you who are planning, thinking to apply? Website mostly has everything, but if you still have any questions, we can take the last 8 minutes to sort of answer that. And feel free to ask any kind of question that you may have. Yes, go ahead.
I tried filling the form, but then I didn't get the fee details or anything in that Google form.
Sorry,
The fee details I didn't get, I think.
The fee details. So the fee details are not on the form, or on the website. It's 20,000 including all the taxes. Anything else? Leela, you're trying to say something? If you are, you're on mute. The audio is not connected. Okay. You want to type on the chat? Connected to audio. Go ahead. No, not connected. No. Okay. You can write on the chat maybe. Anyone else? Any questions? In that case, we can probably wrap up.
So I have one question. Can you briefly tell what is the difference between Swadharma course and Svadhyaya?
Oh, there's a huge difference. No, the two are extremely different courses with very, very different intentions. Though, we've had students who've done both. Like there's Priti, I don't know if you know her. She's done Svadhyaya, she's done Swadharma, she's done Savitri painting. She's done everything that I've done. So she's really been with me. But no, Swadharma is meant for 18 to 30-year-old young people who are really looking to take a plunge into living their true calling. So it's not a career counseling program. However, the basis of the program is the search of finding one's Swadharma, the search of finding what is it that makes me truly come alive in my full potential, and am I ready to take that plunge into that? And on the other hand, Svadhyaya, it's for adults of all ages, youth of all ages rather. So there is no age limit here. It's an online course. Swadharma is an on-campus course. And the intention in Svadhyaya, it doesn't matter whether you're a devotee of Mother in Sri Aurobindo or not. That doesn't matter. Are you a seeker? Are you really burning to know, who am I? What is the purpose of life? What is all of this? And are really wanting to take a plunge into integral knowledge and sadhana. So that is Svadhyaya, and the other one is Swadharma. Swadharma is also the seekers who participate in Swadharma. Many of them, or most of them rather, do not directly feel connected to Mother or Sri Aurobindo. There it's more of the inner fire of this thing that, they are a bright student, they are individualized, they're in college or in a degree, but they're not finding that rasa, the juice and the delight of life. And they want to fully come alive in their full potential, and also are not able to make sense of the world, that one imagines all my problems of life will get sorted out in college. One enters college, it's depressing, doesn't happen. Then all my problems of life will get sorted out once I'm in the job. Then I'm in the job, and it doesn't happen. And you have sitting on all the skill and capacity, but not really coming alive, not really living your full potential, not really contributing to the society, environment, or self. So that's really like really young, youthful people who are ready to take a plunge into the future, or ready to take a plunge into the unknown, and very radically are ready to redefine their career, relationships, themselves. And here it's a more of a subtler inner journey, which too for many people begins to percolate in their work, relationships, and many things, many major decisions of life. But it's a fully inside out journey. Your primary intention, your primary focus is sadhana, is self growth, self development, inner work, and first and foremost, diving deep into the paradigm of knowledge, the psychology and the philosophy of integral knowledge, which is behind Aurobindo, which is in the works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And then there are like finer differences, like that's 5 weeks, this is 8 weeks, but that's irrelevant. I guess it's the soul of the two programs are different. It's just two different ways of entering. Yes, Padma, go ahead.
It would require a lot of reading of all the works, I believe.
During Svadhyaya? Yes,
Yes.
but don't worry about it. We'll really handhold you through the process, but it would require a lot of reading. But
Yeah.
of course, it also depends on the topic that you choose. So if you choose breath, not so much of reading. If you choose divine love, a lot of reading. So depends also what is the topic that you choose. But definitely this course will require reading. Yes.
It's a 2 month, 7 weeks course.
8 weeks
8 weeks,
course.
2 weeks. 2 months, sorry, 2 months.
Yes.
So we should be ready to, cater that much time every day for that.
Yes, yes. So that's one thing we would be looking forward in the selection process. That is the person ready to give? Is this really the priority in your life? That you're ready to give it that priority and that kind of a time. Yeah.
And the schedule was brief. So is it like?
Ram,
Sorry.
if you put your microphone like an ice cream, we hear you better. Yes.
So I was looking at the schedule. So is it like, can you tell roughly like per day 1 or 2 hours is enough?
So scheduled sessions, I'll maybe run you through it. First 2 weeks.
It's not about the schedule actually. My question is
I'm
not
telling you
exactly
the
about the schedule.
time commitment only. Coming. So first 2 weeks are 5 sessions every week. First week is 5 sessions, next week is 5 sessions. After that, there are 3 sessions every week. And each of the 3 sessions are 1.5 hour longs, roughly speaking. And it depends on if we have 15 people, it's usually 1.5 hour long. If it's 20 people, it can also go to 2 hours. So somewhere between around that time range. And in terms of your own reading, like I said, it depends on the topic that you choose. Your project work will only begin after week 2. So week 2 to week 8, that is the time when you're doing the project work. So it depends also the topic that you choose. We had, say, for instance, Shubham in the first cohort, and at that time he was a part of a really busy job. So he took up a relatively simpler topic. It was a topic which was alive for him, but he also made sure that he takes something simpler, because if he takes something complex, it will be very difficult for him to navigate through. So that topic really determines how many hours a day, right? Because if it's breath, 3-4 hours a week, more than enough. If it's divine love, probably I would say every day 1 or 2 hours of reading. So it depends on which is the topic that you're choosing, and you will be given that freedom according to how much time you have in life to navigate through it. One recommendation I would really make is, for me, coming to Mother in Sri Aurobindo was rebirthing. It changed everything, not just about what I do, where I am. It changed who I am. It's a different person pre Sri Aurobindo, post Sri Aurobindo, another person. So if I am really going for something like that, then it's good to give it time, and it's good to give it that space. So I, too, for instance, was doing nothing but just like reading for 1 year. I was just sitting and reading. I understand, you guys would be having your job and your family and all of that. But if you can give it a little bit priority, it will really make a difference, because the possibility of what it can yield is quite incredible. And that's what it is. The more you give, the more you get out of the process. The higher is your self-giving and self-offering, the more is the impact of the course. So the impact of the course is not static. Okay, no matter how much you've given, you will get a certain result. It depends on your self-giving. So do plan out those months in a way. Certainly try not to travel majorly, like not to have any major travels going on during that time. At the same time, we are also going to be adjustable to your schedule, but also not like if there's a massive travel happening in the middle of the course. And yeah, I mean, each one has to see for oneself. Nothing is compulsory, but yes, that's one thing that we do request, to create that space in your life for the course. Yes, Leela, now I know your audio is back.
Ram asked the same question, so my question is answered. I
Okay.
just wanted to know on the time and commitment part of it, time commitment.
Yeah, so
But
apart
one thing I know after Prayoga is things will work. It's just the chatter of the mind, but I know things will work. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the right attitude. If you really want to do it, uh, the divine, we, you, everybody together, we'll make it happen. If you really want to do, then everybody will make it happen.